just something that I'd like to share with the group is that on Facebook, I happen to be in a closed group that has 500 members in it that happen to be diagnosed with this particular disease. And when I found out that our next guest was going to be speaking here, I quickly went out to Facebook and asked if I could post the information about this particular gala and to see if anybody wanted to come. And within an hour, a particular person called the center and asked if they could have a Skype appointment with Dr. Janab because they had already seen an infographic of his work and read an article. And that was really amazing. And in addition to that, of these people on this Facebook group, they're all around the world. There's people from New Zealand, Australia, Germany, England, and there was one woman from Tasmania. And it's just incredible. I never had any idea it would take off this way. And one common denominator that everybody seems to know is our next guest, Dr. Bairey Merz. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Bairey Merz.
It's a pleasure and honor to be invited. I am a professor of medicine at Cedars-Sinai Heart Institute and UCLA School of Medicine, so I'm a newcomer to the OC. But Sue reached out to me and told me that she was going to be doing this, and I think just wanted to let me know. I've been working in the field as a clinical investigator, so I'm a cardiologist. We're sitting at the cardiology table. And I do treat patients, but I try to spend at least half of my time doing research. And 20 years ago, there was a request for a research proposal from our National Institutes of Health, so that's your tax dollars, biggest biomedical research enterprise in the world. But they said, we're having trouble predicting, diagnosing and predicting heart disease in women. The tests that we have don't seem to work very well. Could you work on that? And I was a diagnostician. That was my research background. And then they also asked, we have this group of women that have a lot of chest pain, but they don't seem to have plugged up arteries. And all of the studies that we've done before only lasted 1 or 2 years. And we don't know if it's dangerous or if it's safe. We don't know if they're just hysterical or if they actually have heart disease. Could you study that too while you're there? So this is, as an academic, this is what we do. We do research, and like, you know, Willie Sutton, why does he rob banks? Well, that's because that's where the money is. Why does a researcher go to the National Institutes of Health? That's where the money is, and if you want to do research, that's what you do. So I said, well, I can address those problems. So let's fast forward 20 years, and this is why Sue reached out to me and why our cardiologists at this table use the WISE protocol. We got that first grant. We've been continuously funded for 20 years, probably upwards of $30 million at this point, and a lot of very important discovery about women's heart disease that speaks directly to Sue and why everyone is here tonight. Probably up to 40% of women who have what we call ischemic heart disease, and that means that they can have heart attacks or they can go into heart failure, which it sounds like that's the heart in Sue's family. They fill up with fluid and they die. We now have been able to show with this 20 years of work that this is a female pattern of ischemic heart disease, and it doesn't necessarily look like male pattern heart disease. So all of the diagnostics that were developed in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s don't often pick up the women that actually have ischemic heart disease. And it takes a different mind frame in the cardiologist, and sometimes it takes different diagnostics, and you heard about some of the ones that Sue is a great example. So I came tonight when Sue said she was doing this, and I said, well, that's really interesting because we're seeing more and more patient advocacy of directing the investigators about what's important to the patient. You probably, some of you heard about the ice bucket challenge for the Lou Gehrig's disease, and you've heard about some of these stem cell initiatives. There are amazing cohorts now of parents of children with this Duchenne's myopathy. I mean, just pick up the paper and you're reading about patient advocacy working and partnering with the clinical investigators and really making sure that we're studying what's important to you. And so I came tonight because I wanted to see what this looked like. And you are off to a great start. And I hope this is a fabulous example for many other advocacy groups. Women remain the majority of victims of heart disease in the US. So slightly more women die every year of heart disease than men in the United States. And that's not okay. I mean, well, we'd like it to be parity, but in the old days, women used to die less than men. So that wouldn't be so bad to return to that as well. So because we have to take care of you. If we die, who's going to take care of you? All right, so hats off to Sue and her board, and hats off to, I hope that this will be a springboard to many other advocacy efforts. And this is so true that it can be done now with the internet and Facebook and these blogs. So you're going to start it all over the place. All right, thank you.